Hey guys, it's Kyle, and I just wanted to run through this sleep, nutrition, and supplemental consultation with you. Here we go. I'm just going to run through everything for sleep, and then we'll go over nutrition and then supplements at the end. So, sleep's super important. If you've ever had a kid or stayed up super late, you find out the next day that your mental clarity and performance is down. It's super important. It's number one thing. If you look around, not many people live very long if they don't sleep. Um, it's just when everything has to happen. That's why it's important that like babies sleep a lot because one, they're learning a ton. That's when everything gets processed. Two, they're growing. Um, so that's when that's going to happen. So um, you're no different. Even though you're an adult, you still need sleep. So make sure you try to work on getting somewhere between 7 to 9 hours, depending on the person. Some people can get away with 7. Some people need more. Um, I tend to be around an 8 hour, 8 hours a night type of guy. How I can tell is when I'm getting consistently 8 hours of decent sleep, I don't feel like I need a nap in the afternoon or a cup of coffee. When I get less than that, I tend to get really drowsy around 1, 2 o'clock. Need a cup of coffee or something like that to keep moving on. That's how you can tell if you're getting enough sleep. I think it's really important that you track your sleep and the quality of your sleep. There is a app called Sleep Cycle. Um, what it does is it records your movement. Um, when you're moving, you're restless sleeping, which means you're not really getting into a deep sleep. So um, it can tell when you're moving around and when you're not. It's kind of crazy, but I've been using it for like 3 or 4 years now, and I love it. It um, lets you know if you slept well. If you're really restless, and you're like, yeah, I sleep 8 hours. Sleep Cycle is going to help you see if you are actually um, sleeping well. Because if you're like, yeah, I lay down for 8 hours, but you're sleeping um, is poor. You're not going to get much out of that 8 hours when you're sleeping. So things you can take for sleep, alcohol and things like Ambien are not good um, for sleep. They only put you in the first stage of sleep. It's the same as if you got punched and knocked out. Um, it just puts you under. It doesn't. None of the benefits of sleeping actually take place. So there's no hormone release. Your body's not processing. Um, what it's learned. Things aren't getting filed. Rebuilding of muscle tissues and recovery and things like that just is not happening. So alcohol and Ambien and other sleep aids like that is not very good. What we recommend is something like a ZMA. We carry something called ZMax. What zinc does is it helps with the release of hormones that need to be released during sleep. And magnesium helps you relax so you can actually fall asleep. So that's what a ZMA is. It's a zinc and magnesium supplement. Now it's different than something like melatonin. Melatonin is actually something that's released while you're sleeping. Your body produces it, so it that can make it hard to wake up because you're inducing that extra bit. Where ZMA is just supplements that you should be taking in that most people don't get enough of, so it helps you do that. So that's what we would recommend if you need to better sleep quality. So next up, we got nutrition. Uh, First off, let's start with water. You want 1 ounce for every 2 pounds of body weight. So basically, you want to drink half your body weight in ounces. So if you're 200 pounds, you want to drink 100 ounces of water a day. Um, let's go ahead and start diving into food. So eat only whole foods. Just whole foods are good. If we say if it wasn't alive, you probably should eat less of it. So just trying to stay away from processed stuff like noodles, pasta, bread, cake. Things that weren't really alive. The more whole foods you can eat, the better off you're going to be. Um, You can track your food and just kind of, that's something nice to do just to see what you're putting into yourself. A good free app for that is MyFitnessPal. It does a great job if you want to track macros and things like that. In case you were wondering what macros are, it's macronutrients. We're going to talk about protein, fats, and carbohydrates. So vegetables, I say eat as much as you want at any time, just because they're hard to get in. You got to eat a lot of them. Just eat them all as much as you can. Throw them in every meal in between. I don't count those towards carbohydrates at all. Just make sure you're getting them in. Keep it colorful. Like they say, eat the rainbow. Just switch it up. Don't be eating the same ones every time. Um, Going into protein, what protein helps you do is rebuild muscle. So it's going to replenish the muscle fibers. So any damage is done to it, you're going to help rebuild them and keep them nice and healthy. If you don't eat enough protein, you can find yourself pretty tired if you're eating like way less of it. You can find yourself being pretty fatigued, and you might think you need more carbohydrates or fats, but really your protein's so low, your body's searching for protein to help replenish the muscle, and it's not there. So, um, good sources of protein: fish, beef, poultry, shellfish. Protein powder is okay just to help you hit like the amount that you need for the day. This is not your go-to. You want to eat real food and use this as you need to get protein in. But this should not be your go-to. Uh, how much protein should you take? What I like is somewhere between 1.5 to 2 grams of protein for every 2.2 pounds body weight. So that's actually 1 kilo. So if you were a 200-pound guy, what you would do, or girl, you take 200 pounds divided by 2.2, gives you about 90 kilos. And then you would times that by 1.5. So if you're a 200-pound guy, you want to eat about 136 grams of protein on the low end. And then on the high end, you're going to want to eat about 181 grams of protein. So somewhere in there, you got to see what works best for you. And what that's going to do is just manage your size. So for anyone who thinks they're going to get huge, um, you have to eat more protein because it's supporting muscle mass. So if you want to be a 250-pound guy, you got to eat enough protein for a 250-pound person. So that because you need to get that size. Um, so that's why I like recommending 1.5 to 200 grams. Um, I'm sorry, 1.5 to 2 grams per 2.2 pounds of body weight. Spread your protein consumption out throughout the day. You're not going to want to try to cram in like 60 grams of protein. You're going to be really full. You're going to be really lethargic because protein takes longer to digest. So you're going to want to spread it out throughout the day. Getting into fats, I recommend people go with about 100 grams of fat per day. Start there, and then you can adjust that up or down. Um, Fats help with mental clarity, energy levels, and hormone regulations. Um, the reason fats are so important, and I tell people to start at 100 grams, is because depending on what type of person you are, some people can run off fats better than others. So if they run off fats, uh, they can have more fats, and people who don't run off them are going to need less of them. So um, that's why I say start with 100 and adjust as needed. Good sources of fat: dairy if you tolerate it. I tell people about a handful of nuts a day. You can get crazy with this and eat way too much of this. So about a handful of nuts a day. Coconut oil, um, fats from just eating animal protein, fats that come in through there. Grass-fed butter doesn't necessarily have to be grass-fed, but don't eat things like Country Crock, and I can't believe it's not butter because it's not butter. It's like not what you want to be eating. So try to stick with some type of butter. I actually love Kerrygold butter. It is delicious. Uh, Spread your fat consumption out throughout the day as well. You don't want to just be smashing fat. That could not work out so well. You could be going to the bathroom quite a bit if you do that. So um, try to spread it out. We'll get into carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are used for energy. So um, again, I don't put a description on how many you should eat because diet's kind of like a teeter totter where proteins the fulcrum and then you got fats and carbohydrates on either side. If your fats go up, your carbohydrates have to go down. If your carbohydrates go up, your fats have to go down. You can really get yourself into a problem if you are eating high fat, high carbohydrate. That can really get you in trouble. So carbohydrates, I'll get into like how to eat them, when to eat them, after I go through good sources. So good sources, again, we're trying to stick with the whole foods. So if you can do like sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, squashes, rice, gluten-free pasta or bread, if you tolerate it, um, things like that. Consuming your carbohydrates, you're going to want to do it around physical activity. If it's Sunday and you don't do anything all day, you don't necessarily need to be slamming carbohydrates that day um, and just going buck wild. Maybe you might be able to get away with it. There's it does take time to process some of the foods, so you can get super crazy with timing when you eat food. But for most people, I just say if you did something active that day, eat carbohydrates. If you didn't, eat less. Um, Getting into supplements. So we talked about the ZMA up top when it came to sleep. Um, Creatine, that's something that we carry at the gym. All of our products are from UR. Uh, Helps with ATP reproduction and brain function. So it's super cheap. ATP is just the energy that's readily stored in your muscles. So that's just energy that you can use right away. It helps replenish that quicker. And then brain function, ATP also, uh, or creatine also helps out with the brain function as well. This stuff's super cheap. I recommend it, taking it. There's no downside to taking it as long as you're drinking enough water. Not taking crazy amounts. If you're taking like 6 to 9 grams, that's like nothing. If you're taking too much, you're just gonna pee it out. But if you're taking like 30 grams of creatine, you might start running into problems. Whey protein. Again, I tell people if you have trouble hitting your protein marks for the day, this will help you. Uh, Hit those benchmarks of your protein for the day. Um, this is something most people need to take because they just don't make enough food or they don't have enough time to eat that much. So uh, whey protein can help out with that. L-glutamine helps with recovery. Now, the things I'm going to mention from here down, these are all things that are like add-ons. ZMA, creatine, and whey protein are something that I recommend everyone get. ZMA is super cheap. You get a 3-month supply for like $26. Um, Creatine, you get a 3-month supply for like, I think it's $15. And the whey protein, I think it's $40, and it depends on how much you use. For that. But these are things that I would say everyone should take. Protein, maybe not if you're eating really well with your diet. The rest of the stuff here is add-on. So like L-glutamine is going to help with recovering and healing. So your recovery process is going to be better. Um, BCAAs is short for branched chain amino acids. So when you take in whey protein or any protein, your body is trying to break it down into branched chain amino acids. These are already broken down, so they're going to absorb quicker and help with recovery sooner. So um, this is something that we carry. It's actually a chewable version that's super delicious. Um, but it's not, again, it's not something everyone has to have. Driven is a carbohydrate source that we actually carry on really intense days and you're just feeling kind of out of it. You've used a lot of glycogen. This can help if you mix it in or take it right after that workout, it can help replenish those levels, and you will feel better throughout the day. So if you're a 5:30 guy or early morning and you got to get through the rest of the day, this can help uh, dramatically with how you're going to feel for the rest, like set the stage for how you're going to feel the rest of the day. Fierce is a pre-workout that we carry from UR. It has beta-alanine and caffeine in it. So beta-alanine, what that does is it's a vasodilator. If you're not used to it, you're going to have tingly skin and it can throw you off. But what it helps do is like that burning sensation that people get from like the pump. Um, it's going to help flush that so you don't have that burning sensation as soon. And then caffeine's a stimulant. Everyone knows about caffeine if you've ever had uh, any type of caffeinated drink, soda, uh, coffee, things like that. It's going to perk you up. I don't recommend people taking this every day they work out. If you need to do that, we need to do a better job sleeping and eating for recovery. Because if you're needing a stimulant to get through your life every day like this, or to get pumped up to just work out, um, that's not good. We are doing something wrong when it comes to fitness and health. So this is something, if you took it, every once in a while, it's okay to have. But that's the supplements we carry. So that's everything, guys. I hope this helps. If you guys have any extra questions, you can just let any of our coaches know. You could also let me know. You can shoot me an email, Kyle at CrossFitOloff.com. Take care, guys.